Hey guys, it's Julesy and it is Smart Brown Girl Thursday, where we talk about important issues that impact women of color. And this week we are talking about why are women so competitive and petty? You know, in the age of social media, especially with the rise of things like Twitter and people using Instagram like it is Twitter, we have seen this kind of shift in how we view pettiness, and that people take pride now in being petty, myself included. For me, it's more so there are just times when I know I should do better and I just choose not to because, hey, I'm human, allow me to live here. But sometimes, and a lot of times, the pettiness goes a little too far in how we attack each other and we are perceiving our female counterparts. Since moving to Texas and kind of being pushed really far out of my comfort zone in that I don't have friends who I can drive to within a reasonable time frame, and I really am kind of forced into going into new social circles and genuinely making an effort to meet people at the age of 30, which is not when a lot of us are looking to make new friends in particular. It's been a very kind of interesting experience, and it's definitely opened my eyes a lot to how we interact with each other. When did we, as young children, did the girls get pulled to one side and the boys to the other side, and the boys were told that teamwork is what makes the dream work, and girls were told, gotta watch out for her over there, and her over there. She's a mean girl. She's not cute enough to be your friend. All of them are against you. All of them are coming for what you got. So watch your back, boo. Like, when did this kind of idea that other women are directly our competition? Now, this is not to say that men are competitive amongst each other, that they don't have their own. They do, for sure. But I think amongst women, it's a lot more. One, it's more amplified. It's kind of given as a female attribute when either men or women kind of express themselves in a petty or competitive way. This come from, and then why do we as women continue to perpetuate this stigma? So since moving here, I met an older guy, and I thought he would be a really good person to meet people through. Like, he's about to be 35, he has his ish together, and I'm like, all right, well, and he happens to be the bruh. So I pulled the bruh card on him and I said, hey, why don't you be the good bruhs and introduce me to people? And so he was like, okay, well, do you have GroupMe? Because I'm in this GroupMe on, that's for people looking to find things to do in Texas. So he added me to the GroupMe. The mentality, I've never been around such a group of petty people in my entire life. And at the vastness of the pettiness, because the group is rather large, I started, like, you know, going through these experiences with them where I'm just kind of like dumbfounded at just like the level of petty that these, specifically the women, exude, and then the men themselves kind of play into but get away with because we allow men to get away with it. Yeah, that maybe their behavior is more of the status quo, and I'm the one who is the odd man out. Seeing other women kind of turn their nose up at other women to the point where they have to talk about it, where they have to be like, I'm not gonna come out if this person is invited, not because the person has actually done something to them, but there's just some attribute that about the person that they don't like, and then they have to kind of construct all these lies around the person. So I had an incident where there was another GroupMe with just the girls, and I got voted out because apparently I was Snapchatting about the girls. So a lot of y'all follow me on Snapchat. I have a movement called Smart Brown Girl. Smart Brown Girl does not allow me the room to talk negatively about everyday women that I interact with. Like, that just wouldn't, that just is so counterproductive to what I'm about. Like, a lot of my social media plays directly back into my brand, so no, girl, that. But it was just kind of like, really, like, I'm already in a sorority. Like, girl, I already deal with the politics and the kind of trying to one-up each other on the low because you feel like you're threatened by another woman and what she's about. And, you know, I was thinking previously that maybe this is just being in a sorority that's super political, that's why I'm dealing with this. But to deal with it on a sorority level and now dealing with it this kind of setting, it's like, wow, there's so many levels through the game where you're never really gonna get away from this petty and combativeness. We go into the workspace and there's another black woman and she's superior to us. There's always kind of like this, there's this 50-50 chance that either she's going to be very overly protective of her position because she doesn't want anyone else to come snatch it away, and you as another black woman are a direct threat to her great friends, or she might be a potential mentor. But I almost feel like it's so rare to find women who are so comfortable with where they're at and comfortable and confident in themselves. They're okay with mentoring someone. And I think what overall this kind of sphere of pettiness and competition really comes from, it comes from our overprotection of men. And I did write an article about why do black men hate black women. Not that I think all black men hate black women, but I do think there's a lack of empathy on the part of black men to the plight and things that black women go through, and that we often as black women play into that. For so much of us, we're taught that the ideal is to get a black man and to get into a relationship, and we become very overprotective of our black men, and statistically speaking, there's just less of them than there are of us. And there's a sort of air of preservation of black men, but an indignation towards black women, in that we are constantly turning our noses up at something a black woman has done, or something that we just don't like about a black woman, and we hold on to that so strongly. Somehow this all kind of plays into this ideal of like having to get a man and that being your ultimate reward. Like that's your ultimate sign of like, you have your career, you have your ish together, and then you have your man, and like can't nobody touch you now. Not because of the career, not because you have your ish together, but because you have the black man. What I want to cancel my Smart Brown Girls to do is, one, to be cognizant that, you know, nobody really wants to be alone. So I'm not going to downplay kind of like the wanting to be with someone, and those of us that do want to date black men, myself included, and that the best way for me to find that man of quality would be not just through meeting other men, but through making friends in general. Just don't want us to devalue how much friends matter. Like, as with black women, we get bombarded so much about intimate relationships and finding a man. Just to be a little bit more understanding of the value that your female friends add to your life. When you do meet other women, I don't think you should ever be at a point where you can't allow people into your life. I think you should definitely become wiser as you get older or as you go through life experiences. But understand that a lot of times what turns us off about other people is the familiar. And I discussed this in my lack of support and losing friends video, in that what puts a lot of people off is the familiar, in that you have the same quality as someone else, but they just tend to use it differently, or they're expressing it in a different manner, or they're doing things that you would never do with something that you have in yourself. For me, it's like I'm polarizing because we all have an opinion. I not only express my opinion, but like, I believe in my opinion. Like, I'm good. Like, I'm capable of having a disagreement with you and, you know, kind of having this exchange where we can both agree to disagree. That's fine. But I'm still gonna walk away very confident in myself. And for whatever reason, that's like on some levels is off-putting to other women. I get the most pushback, not from men, but from other women. Even if you get to a point where you meet someone and there just are things that you really just don't like about the person and you don't want to be around, you know, what I do is I use that to meter and make sure that I'm not putting off those same sort of qualities that I dislike in somebody else. So within this group, there was one particular girl who, even before I met her, I just knew, like, girl, absolutely not, nope. And then I met her, you know, what about her is really off-putting about to me? It's because she always wants to be the center of attention, and she has to get the attention in the exact form that she wants it, and she does things to undermine other people getting attention. So making sure that I don't do that, and that I don't need to always one-up people. Like, I can eat a slice of humble pie. I don't need to walk in a room and be like, I'm Julesy, this is what I got going on. I got this moving to Smart Brown Girls. You know, you need to fuck with me. That if it's humility that I'm looking in other people, that I'm exuding that within myself. If you're in work or you have these friends of friends who you can't necessarily cut, are you giving time and understanding to where this person is coming from? You know, I don't have a problem dealing with more kind of complex personalities, because I think I'm pretty good at, one, listening to a person and giving them the space that I might give them my opinion on something, but I respect that they're an adult and they can do what they may with my opinion. This one girl I met, she just talks a lot and she don't listen. And I was like, you know, do you ever think about how you talk so much and you do so much explaining of yourself? Do you ever, like, are you cognizant of kind of how you're communicating yourself to other people? And she flat out told me she don't, like, you talking to me like I want to change. I'm like, all right, girl. But I know how to a meter with you now. Being in this YouTube space, you know, I didn't come out the gate with this kind of kumbaya attitude about a lot of things. You know, I myself definitely had the propensity to clap back unnecessarily. You know, I might have come at different commenters the wrong way. It has definitely been an ever-evolving, growing experience for myself. And it's even been a growing experience in how I perceive other YouTubers. You know, I did an casting interview a month ago, and they were like, who do you think is your competition on YouTube? And they were really kind of surprised when I was like, nobody's my competition. Like, I really have gotten myself to a space where I do not view anybody as a competitor that I need to beat out. Because for Black women, I feel like we get such little representation that we all should be represented. You know, I'm hyper aware of my beigeness and how quick we are to kind of accept the lighter skinned biracial chicks. So I don't want to be the end all be all of acceptance of Black women whenever I do make it. I want to be the beginning. I want to be the progression. I want to be the movement towards allowing more of us in, allowing us more to have seats at the table and to have more amplified platforms. I don't have to beat someone else. Like when companies call you up and offer you opportunities, they usually are offering them to several different YouTubers, and they'll let you know who they are, and then they're gonna tell you who they end up picking in the long run. I mean, that in essence could be competition, but when I'm up here getting like offers that are going like Shameless Maya or Hey Fran Hey, it's like, oh shit, that's really kind of like, that's really flattering. And this means that if I stay committed to doing what I do, there will be additional room for me to come and be just as successful as these other women. Not that I have to knock them over and take their spots. And I feel like we need to stop feeding into these ideals that are pushed onto us by white supremacy, these ideals that are pushed onto us by our own community, and just being more aware of that and allowing the space for women to coexist with each other, and that not just one of us should ever be successful. There should always be room for multipleness of us, because the more we compete with each other, the more we're allowing them to single us out and not really speak to the diversity that we represent. And the whole point of the Smart Brown Girl movement is to celebrate the diversity of women of color. And for any of you young girls who are going through it, you can definitely purchase my book, Send It On. It's about the evolution of a smart brown girl as she comes into her womanhood in New York, and I definitely think it'll speak to kind of a lot of these topics that I talk on with the Smart Brown Girl movement. As always, thanks for supporting. Follow me on Twitter if you're not joining on the conversation. And as always, hit that thumbs up button. It helps so much. Deuces!